Privacy and IoT devices tend not to go together very well. That includes IP cameras, TV boxes, the little box you can plug into the internet and then it hooks up to your TV, TVs themselves, of course, and kind of any device that you plug into the internet. When you get a firewall router from your internet service provider, they have a default firewall put in that almost always blocks all incoming traffic but allows all outgoing traffic. And that might sound great if they're not allowing incoming traffic. How could that possibly be a problem? And the answer is that IoT devices talk out to start, and then the responses are allowed to come back. And as soon as responses come back, you can be very simply put the incoming traffic on that response and start communication that way. As long as your IoT device initiates the communication, you can have two-way communication, no problem at all, despite your firewall blocking incoming traffic. I'm going to talk about IP cameras because they're a little bit simpler than other things in the sense that you can run your own IP camera security software. In fact, I use ZoneMinder. You can see that in the video at the end. And that allows me to do everything I want to do. I can capture, I can record, I can detect events, and I can send emails out on events, all without the IP cameras themselves ever being allowed to talk out on the internet. And what's interesting is because of that, I can look at, well, where does the IP camera try to talk to? And let's take a look at that right now. So I have all of my cameras on a separate subnet, and that lets me control outgoing, even with just a normal firewall router that you get from your IP service provider. They will have a firewall built in that prevents incoming traffic from getting to your cameras. So any traffic that's occurring from your cameras has to be originating from your cameras. So let's see if that happens. I've put all my cameras on a separate subnet, and this is using pfSense firewall, and there's a video that I talk about how to set that up if that's of interest to you. And I have a couple rules here. The first one is I block all IPv6 because I'm an IPv4 only site. I allow IP traffic to the firewall itself. That means a camera can go and ask the firewall for the time using the NTP protocol. And the firewall only allows a couple services, so I'd simply say allow everything in. If I were to get even more rigorous, I would say NTP to the firewall. Occasionally I have a camera with some pretty views, so sometimes I let that go out, but right now I don't. It's disabled. And then I have my final rule, and it says block everything. I don't care what the source is. I don't care what the destination is. I don't care what the port is. I don't care about any of it. Block it. And most interesting, I've just set I'll go look at this firewall real quick so we can look at it. I've clicked the little button that says log the packets that are handled by this rule. So that means any traffic that is attempting to go out from a firewall, from a camera, is going to get logged. So we can see if these cameras are sending anything out, and if so, what they have to say. And, well, I guess I could save it. It doesn't hurt. And let's see what happened. 192.168.10, which happens to be the IP camera source, and look at what happened. Now, you'll note that this is all today, right now, just looking at all these dates. January 16, 9/28, that happens to be right now. So this is all in the last few minutes, just to be clear about that. And here we have 10.100. That is one of the cameras. And you can see that it's trying to go out on streaming port 32100 and to some IP address, to another IP address. It's got a whole bunch of IP addresses. These IP addresses are built into the camera. This camera has never in its life been allowed to talk. And let's just see where it's trying to go. So if we take that IP address and we do a copy paste of it, we're going to copy it and we're going to go to ipaddress.com. That's one place we can simply look up an IP address, says where is it and who owns it. And if we do this lookup, it's going to tell us that it is talking to Alibaba, which is a Chinese company that they sell all kinds of stuff, and they happen to have this IP address in Los Angeles. So this is talking to a large company that likes to sell things, and this camera is trying to talk to them. Kind of interesting. And we can see it's talking to all kinds of other ports. I'm just going to pick one or two others here. Let's see where this one is trying to go. This is streaming. So it means it's more likely that it's broadcasting images. I don't know for sure. Here, this one is talking to some, again, Alibaba, this time in Hong Kong. Again, this camera has never talked out ever. Those are built-in IP addresses. It knew about Alibaba built in and tried to talk to it. That's one camera. Let's take a look at a few others. 10.24 is another camera. Here we see it talking to TCP on 443. So it's trying to do an HTTPS out from the camera to Zhenjiang, Kansas? I believe that is Kansas. And we see that same camera trying to stream on port 123 to some address there. 1024 is trying to stream to yet more addresses. And if we keep going down a little bit, this is all 10.24. Another camera that has never been allowed to talk out. So it just has these places built in. When you plug it in, it starts trying to talk out. So we've seen IP cameras trying to talk out. The same is true of TV boxes. In fact, I'm going to put in the description, I'm going to put a link to a Krebs on security article. Very interesting security blog if you're interested in that kind of thing. But this talks specifically about TV devices and how they're being used and abused by people that are using your internet connection and your IP address in ways that are definitely not in your interest. So you might find that interesting. It goes through the debug port of Android being left open and allowing anyone to do pretty much anything with an IoT device. And this really is the problem. IoT devices are low cost, low development effort, and very little effort put into security because it's not their problem, it's going to be your problem. And the easiest way to avoid that kind of a problem is to find high quality devices that are focused on security, and they're going to cost more, and they're going to be from companies you know, and that will help avoid some of these issues. And I'll point out that at least one of these IP cameras that I just looked at is from a name brand company, and it is still talking out. So no guarantees. The only effective way to control this is to put in your own firewall, which I use pfSense, and I talk about it in another video, but there are plenty of other choices where you specify who is allowed out, where, and when.